Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Players Experience Podcast. On today's episode, we are welcoming in former NHL player Mike Krushelnyski to talk all about his hockey career, including what it was like to be signed by the Bruins, traded to the Oilers and Kings, winning 3 Stanley Cups with the Oilers, and playing with Gretzky during that era. As well, we're going to talk with Cruiser about his time coaching behind the bench and his charity work. Before we bring Cruiser onto the show, we just want to give a shout out to our production team for all the work that they do each and every episode to make the show what it is. As well, to our sponsors, big shout out to them for providing some discount codes so that you guys can get yourself something nice by using those codes below. As well, folks, if you haven't done it yet, make sure to hit the bell, hit the subscribe button, and so you will know when new episodes are posted. We're excited to bring new episodes to you now and every week. And without further ado, let's get to today's episode and bring Cruiser on to start talking about his hockey career. Hey, Mike, how's it going today, man?
Good, yourself? Good morning. You're looking good.
Yeah, thank you. You as well. Got your morning cup of coffee going. Got to get the day started, you know?
Got it. Now I've got all these pop-ups coming up about you recording and everything. Okay, there we go.
I know. It's the way of the world with Zoom. One day I'm hoping to make it big enough where I can have like a sit-down couch conversation versus Zoom, but you know, we're still here. So how have things been though?
Yeah, things have been good. Been busy doing golf events. Obviously, the last time I saw you, we were at the what was it? The Joe Carter.
Yeah, we were at the Jays game, and it was the Joe Carter Classic, and everyone was there enjoying the game. And yeah.
And what did you bid on?
I did not bid on anything, I have to say. You know what? I looked at some of the prizes, and I think I actually bid on one thing, but then I would have got outbid. I never got a call, so like, yeah, it's good that those things get so much money attracted to it. Unfortunately, with my budget, I just don't have that kind of money because, you know, we're out here.
I'm with you. Yeah, you know, and you know, Joe and his crew, they do such a great job. The skins game prior, then the golf event, and the baseball game, and he's such a classy guy. So it's such a cool thing. So yeah, summer's been, you know, going along that. Obviously, I see you at our winter hockey events, and in the summer, fortunately, I've got the golf event. So we just had the Dougie Gilmore, Bobby Orr, and then I just saw Mitch Marner at his mini putt event, first event. So you know, it's a lot of fun. Last night I had to do a thing in Nobleton for men being abused. You know how you always get that women? Well, apparently there's a lot of men that need help as well. So this charity, you know, so there's a lot going on out there. So,
well, hey, that's
good.
It's
fun. It's fun to get out.
And we're definitely going to talk about your charity work for sure, because I want to touch base on, like you said, the hockey event that we see each other at every year. But before we get into all that, I wanted to find out from you first, how did the passion for hockey really start for you, and how did you know you wanted to make a career out of it?
You know, that for me was an easy decision to make. I had started sports very late, so got into football, and that just became too easy. I could outrun everybody and outcatch everybody. So we had this awesome quarterback, Mike Stiviletti, and we would run plays, but whenever he was in trouble, he would drop as far back as he could and then just launch it to one or another corner, and one of us would always get it. Myself or another player, Greg Thomas. So that sport just became too easy. Baseball, same thing. I was a pretty good pitcher. My grandmother would come to the games, and she's like, "Boy, he's not letting anybody hit the ball." So when I came around to hockey, man, I couldn't stop. So here I am, 12 years old, going to a practice, and they're like, "Cut this kid, he can't even stop." So I think it was when you can't do something, you want to do it, you want to conquer it. So that's literally how I got into hockey.
No, and hey, you know what? That's a very similar path to me. When I was in high school, my baseball high school coach had said, "Hey, I don't think you should join the team because you really won't make the cut," that sort of thing. But here I am, 16 years later, from high school, and I'm playing with the Special Olympics, playing softball, been to provincials, nationals, and everything. And I know it's that urge of like wanting to prove yourself and prove to others that you can be good at that sport, right?
Exactly. I think you go out there with the intent of, we'll get into this later, winning or trying to be the best, and obviously you're the worst. So you're like, "Man, I got to work at this." So yes, we're kind of identical.
Now, talking about your hockey and kind of once you got your feet under you, if you will, you were drafted by the Bruins in 1979, making your debut in 1981. From there, you were traded to the Oilers just a few years later in 1984, where you found yourself actually on a line with Wayne Gretzky and Jari Kurri, where you finished fourth on the scoring list for your team that year. What was it like to not only get traded for you from the first team that drafted you, but to be then playing alongside guys like Gretzky and Kurri?
Well, the first part was it was very disappointing being traded. First, I was lucky enough to be traded by the Boston Bruins, the old breed of Terry O'Reilly, Brad Park, Wayne Cashman, Ricky Middleton. And, they kind of taught you the game differently. They were the old Bruins, the old rough and tough. So it was different hockey back then. And they broke me in slowly, literally protecting me. And then when I got on a line with Barry Peterson and Rick Middleton, we seemed to mesh together. And man, I still say that Ricky Middleton should be in the Hall of Fame. His hands are probably one of the best that I've ever seen, and just a great guy. So, as a kid just coming in, like I thought we did pretty well. Maybe we were one more forward, one more defenseman away to really contending for the cup. And Harry Sinden trades all of us away. So Tommy Fergus, I think he comes to Toronto. A couple of other guys go elsewhere. I get shipped off to Edmonton. So, fortunately it worked out for me, but there was quite the disappointment. Getting on a line with Gretz and Yari, the same thing. Just seemed to blend in, and fortunately, but can you imagine scoring 43 goals, 88 points, and I'm only fourth in scoring on the team? Like, I think Gretz had 200 points that year. But yeah, like great. Gretz was a whole different platform, and Yari was just the. I don't think Yari actually got the accolades he truly deserved, because one, he was a goal scorer. I think he even got 70. He's in that 70 bracket, but man, Yari busted his chops back checking as well. So it wasn't as though he was just a one-dimensional player going that way, but he did it all. So I was very lucky to be traded to a great team.
No, that's great. And honestly, that's where talking about Gretz and how you said he's such like a nice guy. I want to get more into your relationship with him, because you won 3 Stanley Cups with the Oilers, and then you were traded to the Kings alongside Gretzky and Marty McSorley, but Gretzky personally requested for the two of you to be part of that trade. What was it for you to see the value that Gretzky showed towards you and for him to want you to come with him in that trade?
Well, I think it was more of a, Gretz was already looking at the lineup. So he's like, okay, Krush can either come with me on the wing or we can put him at center on another line. So Gretz would take care of one line. Bernie would take care of on the second line. I would take care of a third line. Marty, we could interchange anywhere and play on forward, play on defense, and he would still do the protecting, so to speak. So I think Gretz is already formulating the picture on how to try to win. So I think that basically boils down to that question you just asked.
So have you ever seen the movie The Hangover?
Which one?
Hangover 3, when Zach Galifianakis is in the casino trying to make back a bunch of the money.
Okay, I can't remember that scene in particular, but
okay,
yes, where are you going with this?
There's the scene where like all the numbers are flying around his head as he's trying to win the money. It's like that. I could picture that being Gretzky, just all the numbers going around and all this different situations, like you said, trying to, all right, we're going to put this guy here, and to make the top lines.
Yeah. So, that's exactly what it was when I first joined the Oilers. They had won the Stanley Cup the previous year. So, honestly, in that year, they learned how to win. And then when I got there, even though you think you know, you don't until you've done it. So I had to learn from the guys and the coaching staff how to win. And, obviously going to LA, Gretz was already thinking about that picture of putting this guy there, having this option. So, obviously, as players, when you get into the Stanley Cup, the goal is to win the Stanley Cup. So it's, he was already formulating and tabulating and concocting every possible scheme.
Now, during your playing career with Gretz, what would you say is like their top story that stands out in your mind of spending time with him, and what would that story be?
Gretz is such a great guy. There's just too many of those stories to tell, but I'll just give you two quick ones where when I'm asked about Gretz, it's like, what's it like playing with Gretz? I'm like, that's easy. It's like fishing. And people look at me with that puzzled look on your face, and they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, you throw it out there and you let it sink to the bottom and get taunt, and then you feel nibble, and bang, reel it in. Same with Gretz. I would give him the puck, go to the net, whether I had two hands on my stick, or one hand and I'm battling with the defenseman. The second I feel it, bang, just shove it in, another goal. So I remember this one time I'm just taking a beating in front of the net, and we get back to the bench and he's like, oh man, sorry, Crush, I couldn't get the puck. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Just go from your backhand to your forehand, easy pass to my skate. I'll kick it up to my stick. So in a 10-foot circumference, we'll goalie easy. Oh, great play, Crush, great play. Just before the face-off, he goes, better yet, close your legs. I'm like, close my legs? I'll be off balance. Like, I'll get killed in front of the net. And I'm like, oh, I know what he's going to do. So he gets behind the net, holds it on his backhand, and I roll off one side of the net, push off the defenseman, roll, close my legs. Gretz goes backhand, forehand, takes a little snapshot off my knee pads in. Now I'm scoring goals. I don't even have to shoot. Oh, do I like this kid? So, yeah, that's, Gretz saw the game in a whole different fashion. The way I explain it is, you and I sitting here, we have a peripheral of about this. Well, if you stand behind me and put your head right above me, all of a sudden you're elevated and your peripheral becomes so much greater. Gretz saw the game from up here with that peripheral from down here, if that makes any sense. So
yeah,
he was steps ahead. He knew 3 steps ahead of what we're all going to do. So it's just a matter of give him the puck, go to the net.
No, that's great. And it just seems like he'd be such a fun teammate to play with as well.
You know, he was so talented, and he worked like a dog. So it was like, here you have the best player in the world, um, who does want to win, and he does want to compete as hard as everybody. And by him doing that, he pushed all of us to compete just as hard. So it's like I remember there was one time where it's a story about LA where we're with the Kings in Detroit, and he had his guy, and the puck had bounced differently, and he saw our defenseman was going to get it, so he let his guy go, figuring he takes off, our defenseman gets it, relay, he gets a breakaway, we're going to get a chance to score. Well, it hops over the guy's stick, our defenseman's stick, and Gretz has to double back, and as he's chasing his guy puts it in the net. Gretz bangs his stick on and breaks his stick over the net. And we walk in, the period ends, and we're down 2 goals. And I look at him. I go to wash him. I come back, and he's got his head down. I'm like, what's going on? He says, Crush, I'm going to get benched. I'm like, yeah, right. So I go to the medical room, come back, and Crush, I'm going to get benched. I'm like, let's go bench Wayne Gretzky. As we're going on the ice, he relayed the same message. I'm like, good, I'm going to play more. And we were matching Detroit's lineup. So I believe Bernie's line was supposed to go first, and Gretz and I were supposed to go second. And Robbie Fatorik goes, Cruiser, take center with McSorley and Tonelli. And I'm like, oh, you bench Gretz. Well, second shift, third shift. Anyways, after the game, I'm like, Robbie, what were you thinking? He's like, a player of that magnitude should never show that he was pissed off. I'm like, you're lucky a player of that magnitude even cares. So it's, like that was Gretz. He wanted to win every game, every shift.
And honestly, that's such a good, can be really good, but also really bad mentality as well, right? Because if you get too much in your head, I just from my experience of playing my sports, it's then it's you're resulting just a downfall, right? And it's you kind of have to go similar to golf. If you have a bad hole, you just got to pretend that hole didn't happen and move on to the next one, right? Otherwise, you just get higher on the scorecard. You'd be more frustrated on the ice, I would think. But
yeah, and that just relates back to unfortunately sometimes the score gets up there, and fortunately for us in the alumni games, we can back off. But when you're playing for high stakes, you can never let your guard down or let your foot off the gas. So unfortunately, sometimes you get to see those 11-1, 12-2 blowouts, but it's not as though they're trying to embarrass anybody. They're just trying to win a hockey game, and that evening is going their way.
Yeah, no, for sure. Now, throughout the remainder of your career, you found yourself with the Leafs and the Red Wings before ultimately retiring. Between the 5 teams that you played for, which experience was your most favorite to play for, or most favorite that stands out outside of winning the 3 cups with the Oilers?
So I was just asked that. Everybody had asked me that same question yesterday, and I'm going to answer it the same way with you. So are you telling me that your last podcast with your last guest was better than mine? See what I mean? Everybody is special in their own way. So for me being traded, it's see ya, boys, and you walk into a locker room of 25 new friends. Gentlemen, how's it going? And they're like, Cruiser, So guys are great on every team. Honestly, if you can get with good management that knows what they're doing, that's, I think, the biggest trick. So, players are phenomenal. It's a great sport to be part of.
I think I might have to borrow that line moving forward, because that's a great line for sure, and one that I've never had a rebuttal to like that. So that's a great answer for sure. Okay. Now, after your playing career, you went on to coach with the Red Wings. What was it like for you to make the transition from being on the ice to being behind the bench in coaching?
Okay, so that was easy for me because my latter couple of years, when I first broke in, I was offensive. Obviously, when I got to Toronto here, skills were a little bit diminished. Speed was a little bit diminished, slowing down. So obviously, I became not the big offensive threat, but I was starting to become the weaker defensive older guy. So my role had changed, and it was pretty easy because I'll revert back to 1981, back with the Bruins, where I remember after one of the practices or the next day at after the game, Peter McNabb had pulled me over and he's like, "Cruiser, you're doing it all wrong." And I'm like, and he was showing me stuff on what to do with my hands on the face-off, how to approach, how to walk into the face-off properly, enhancing your chances of winning the face-off. And after he showed me, I'm like, "Maxie, I don't get it. Why are you trying to help me when the Bruins brought me in to replace you?" He's like, "And you're going to have to do it once you get to my age to the next breed of players coming in." And I'm like, wow, you know? So it was embedded in me at a very early age, just when I was breaking in. And then when I really enjoyed, maybe it was a little bit of influence from Tom Watt, who I had here as a coach, who I thought, man, he was a great coach and a great, like, he really studied the game and tried to teach us the game. So maybe I picked up on that, and then just helping players, like, "Hey, Cruiser, what do I do in this situation? What do I do in that situation? Any tips on the face-off? Any, puck coming around the boards? Any tips?" So, I kind of just got looped into it. And once I got into coaching, once I was asked to coach with the Red Wings, man, it was a piece of cake. It was awesome, just to work with everybody and try to help. And when you can tell somebody like Sergei Fedorov, say, "Hey, Sergei, that guy, he's having troubles on the inside. So the second, if you curl at center, we're going to relay the puck to you. I want you to go 3 steps hard to the boards, and then without any hesitation, I need you to cut to the middle." And like, we're watching the play during the game, and the puck is sent from blue line to center. He does his 3, cuts hard, 2 steps. He's in on a breakaway, scores a goal, and he comes back to the bench, and I run over. I'm like, "Man, sir, that was awesome." He's like, "Okay, what's next, Mike?" And I'm like, "Hey, dude, it's easy from back here, you did it on the ice." He's like, yeah. What's next?" And I'm like, that's what it's all about. When you can help a player accomplish something, he thinks I'm helping him. I'm just trying to help the team, so.
Talking about those younger players and that transition piece, what's your take on the players in the game now, like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, and their style of play compared to when you played and when you coached?
Well, all the players, and I could probably put in a better perspective at the, what's today, Wednesday, Thursday, 2 days ago, we were at the Leafs and Legends. Apparently I'm a legend, not an old timer. Woohoo! Anyways, so, we were looking at the auction items, and they had a Jason Spezza stick and a couple of other sticks, and we were looking at them, and I'm like, holy flip, look at these sticks. These are ball hockey curves that I used to use when I was a kid playing street hockey. And literally, that has what the game has come to. Look, the kids now, there's no limit on curves. The skill level is just like off the charts. I mean, when I participated with that Mitch Marner event that he puts on, the puck literally went from behind the net, the blue line, the far blue line, in like a second and a half. He's going 1,000 miles an hour. He's out there for a good 2.5, 3 minutes. It's, the game is just, every 10 years, the game changes. And man, I tell you, the players are so talented now. It's awesome to watch. So, that's evolution of the game. Like, the skates, the technology is getting better. The gloves, man, like my old Bruins gloves, my old Oiler gloves, they literally would come down to here, because when you cut to the net, you would put your arm out and the defenseman would just slash on you, and you needed all that protection. So Now they've got cuffs up to here, to give, we have restricted mobility. These guys are like, they've got full mobility. Like, they're so much smarter, so much faster, sticks, the technology, everything. So, I'm just expecting another great season of hockey.
Yeah, same here. And hopefully, I mean, I'm sure you're feeling the same way. Hopefully the Leafs make playoffs again, but get past the first round for once.
Yep. Yeah, we won't bring that up. Yeah. Hopefully they will.
One good side of news I do want to bring up is your charity work, though. You do a lot of the charity work, and we touched on it a little bit earlier about the Eric Lindros Celebrity Classic, where we see each other every year. How does it feel and what does it mean to you to give back and really help out the community after all these years?
The first thing is I still enjoy skating. I mean, I'm getting older and a lot slower, but I still enjoy being out there and competing. The second part of that is the locker room when we're with the guys. A lot of guys are telling me stories. I'm like, hey, Krusy, you guys did it this way. And I'm like, no, we did it completely opposite. And they're like, oh, man, I never knew. I thought all these years you were doing it. And I'm like, so I do a lot of correcting, actually, where people are like, oh, man, I didn't realize that. So I think it's the guys in the locker room get to feel, or I try to make it feel like give them the NHL experience of exactly what I was going through, in winning situations and in losing situations. So, and the players that I played with, I was very lucky, like I said, to go from Terry O'Reilly, Brad Park, Ricky Middleton to Wayne Gretzky, Yari Curry, Mark Messier. So I was, Luc Robitaille, we had Wendell, Dougie, and then I go to Sergey and Stevie. So I was very lucky in my career to play with great players. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I like to close out every show with a segment called Words of Wisdom. So what would your words of wisdom or advice be for the next generation of hockey players that might be watching this and really wanting to get into the sport?
I tell all the kids that I meet, the younger level, go to school, work at it. If you're a smarter person at school, you're going to be a smarter person on the ice. Meaning, the forward will know what the defenseman is thinking. The defenseman will know what the forward is thinking. Hopefully, it'll result in better play. And the other thing is, work at it. Somebody is always out there that is bigger than you, stronger than you, faster than you. So never take anything for granted. Work at it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Cruiser, for taking the time to be on the show today. I really appreciate it. And have fun with the hockey season. I'm sure I'll see you in a couple months at the Lindros Classic if you're there. But otherwise, I'm sure I'll see you around the rink at some point.
Perfect. Nice man cave. I got to come visit you one day.
Yeah, hey, for sure. Hey, I'm 5 minutes from Iroquois, so next time you come, we'll make a pit stop.
I'll be giving you a shout. Okay, thanks. Take care.
All right, take care. All right, Cruiser. So last time we chatted at the Eric Lindros Celebrity Classic 2, you had said that you were excited for your son and your family because your son was getting into a new venture. What's that all about?
Okay, so yes, my son Alexander. It's a funny story because he had played for a number of years in the AHL, ECHL, tried to crack the NHL, and never got there. And I'm like, let me get you over to Europe. You'll make some money, come back, and then you can start life. He's like, nah, Dad, you don't get it. NHL or nothing. I'm like, I get it. So anyways, his last number of contracts, he had negotiated himself, dealing with these agents or with these GMs and assistant GMs and advising his teammates, actually, whereas one of the guys was like, oh, man, I don't know what to do. He's like, man, you're an offensive player. You should call that team. Well, next day, man, you should be an agent. I got a contract. Another guy, I don't know what to do. Well, you're a defensive player. Call that team. Next day, man, I got a contract. You should be an agent. So after hearing you should be an agent, he literally went back to Chicago to get into the insurance world, which he has started, but he's groomed into his own sporting agency as well. So I got the call, would you mind helping? I'm like, well, I gave him a couple of parameters that, if we're going to do this, you got to do it right. He's like, exactly. So he only takes on a certain number of kids every year because that's all you can do to really help those kids get to where they want to do. So he's nxtsportsgroup.com, looking up on the internet or on Instagram. And the funny part is, it's like, Dad, I might need you periodically to go scout a boy or two. And I'm like, no problem. Well, every weekend I'm sitting in an arena now scouting for the kids. So if you got a chance, like I said, check them out, nxtsportsgroup.com. Thanks very much.
That's awesome. And it's definitely all about quality over quantity for sure.
Yep, you got it.
Cool.